Okay, so we have already seen this. All the packages which were there here. Exception handling. So this is what is exception handling? It's a very simple topic. We'll quickly jump into object-oriented programming then. Okay, so if I try to do 1 divided by 0, okay, I will get one error called zero division error. This is called an exception. If I try to do a plus b, because both of them are not divided, so there is name error. A is not defined. Okay, even b is not defined. So it is called as name error. So, but this name is important here. This name is important. If I try to do 1 plus, it's called type error. Okay, so different errors are there. Okay, there are like so many errors which are present. What are those? So you can see these are the different errors. That is, we need not memorize this, but we should have an idea about exceptions, that there are different errors that are possible. Okay, and these are the different errors. Now, as a programmer, so till now whatever coding we have done is not professional coding. Okay, what we did it local basic coding what we have done. So what is a professional code? A professional code is some code which is well commented. Okay, so for each line of the code we should comment. Second thing is, it should have all the possible case which can be handled. So for example, if you have written a code, you will know what are the parameters you should apply. Okay, but now if that code is being given to some person who is not having much idea about programming, and if he tries to give the input, in that case, how well it that program will respond, that is how you should think about a code. And you should think about all the different possible cases which the user might do while running the code, and you should handle it in a very nice way, so that the um, if there is any error, it will be resolved. Okay, your code should not stop abruptly. It should be handled in a nice way. For example, if old person will go to an ATM, what are the possible mistakes that person might do? If you can imagine that, and try to handle all those options in the ATM machine, so that even an old person who doesn't have much idea about digital technology should be able to do that. Okay, so that's why we have to work on that. Okay, now let us see the way in which we can handle exception. Okay, this is called as that body of an exception. So in this way we will be able to handle the exceptions. Okay, this is the structure. So let us see a simple basic code to see how it is handled. Okay, now see, although we are finishing Python today, Python is a very vast topic. Okay, there are like numerous packages. So those who are interested to study right further, so you have to look into different packages. Some of the very important packages are like intertools, regular expressions. Okay, then there are so many other packages. I will try to give a list. You guys can try to see the programs which are there, and you should solve that. Okay, these are the packages which will help you to solve some programs. Okay, so why this is required? As far as interview in future days, okay, if you are attending an interview on Python, okay, on Python, these are the packages which are having a high value. Okay, I maybe today or I will share some nice. I'll try to share some link names of the packages. Okay, which are like very useful and used in commonly. Okay, so now this is exception handling here. See, this is a list for entry into random list. So for I in let list name, what was there earlier? This was not there. Okay, earlier the code was this much only. Okay, only these three lines were there. Okay, this was not part of that program. Now what we are doing? We are entering this try, and this block is extra. What it will do? First, if this was not there, let us imagine this exception is not there. This try without exception actually will not make sense, so it will work as it is. Okay, okay, what happened here? First it took 2. Okay, entry 2 1 by 2 is valid, so the reciprocal it came. Next time, uh, a 1 divided by a is not a valid thing, so it given raised an exception. What exception? Value error. Okay, it generated value error. Now same thing, if we use it without that, with the exception handling, now if you do that, you will be, your output is controlled. You can see for all the cases it is telling class value error occurred. Okay, what exception? Next entry. So it can help you to check what is the mistake, and maybe what is the possible solution for that. Okay, so this is how you can solve these kind of problems. So what is this code? Let us see. So here we are telling try and accept. So it will tell if any exception occurs here. If any exception occurs in these 3 lines of code, I am going to catch this, and I am going to do this action. Okay, that action can be anything. Here there are some print commands. You can ask you can write some logical code also, and you can solve the problem. So all those things you can do. So in this case, I am not specifying what exception I am going to catch. I am telling whatever exception will come, I am going to catch, and I am going to do the solution for that particular for all the exceptions. Okay. Now, if there are some specific exceptions, what we can do here, for example, if there is a zero division error, I am going to do this. For all other exceptions, I am going to do this. This is a simple way of, so you can have 10 different exceptions. For this, if this exception will come, I will do this. For this exception, I will do this. So for different inputs, you can do the code. Okay. Okay, so here in this case, for two different exceptions, I am having this solution, and for all the other remaining exceptions, I have this one. Okay, a simple program that is not important. Here, I am just telling you we can combine two different exceptions and have a common solution for it. What is this finally? Finally is something which is present here. You can use finally block along with try block. The finally block is a place to put in code that must execute whether try block raised an exception or not. So if you want to write a code which will execute even if there was an exception or there was no exception, in that case if you want to use, then you can use this finally block. Okay, that is what it is telling. Okay, now one more topic. Okay, now we can also assert an error. Okay, so what is this program? What is this assert keyword? So first we'll see if there is a definition for assert. I will then explain that. When it encounters assert, Python evaluates accompanying expression which is hopefully true. Hopefully true. If the expression is false, Python raises an exception error. If it is the exception will be raised, uh, an error will be raised if this expression will be turned false. Okay, so it is like a if loop similar to if condition. If there is no error, I will do this. If there is error, I will do this. Okay, so this is a simple function which is called temperature. So this temperature, when it use pass a value, say here I am passing 273, then this when it is called, it will come here, it will write 273 here. So it will come here. 273 is greater than the, yes, true. If it is true, there is no error raised. Okay, it will come here and it will return that value. Okay. Next 505, it will come here. Greater than 0, true. It will come and do its work. Kelvin minus 1. Minus 1, is it less than 0? Yes. So means is it greater than 0? No. So false. Okay, false. So it will execute this. Okay. Now if we see the output, so here, what is the purpose of this? If you want to generate an error, although Python will not see this as error. Okay, for Python, this is not an error. Okay, error is something which Python will not understand. Here there is everything which Python, everything is there, whatever is there, right? It will Python will understand that. So what you can do is, if you want to forcefully generate an error, then you can use this, and you can also write your own message here. Okay, that message is displayed here, colder than absolute zero. Okay, that is how you can do assert. So that is one more thing. Let me see. Raise, yes, there is something called as raise also. Okay, raise is forcefully raising an exception. Okay, forcefully raising an exception, although there was no zero division error. I am forcefully raising a zero division error exception. By default, when will zero division error exception will come? When there is an actual case. Okay, when I do 1 divided by 0, only then zero division error will come. But what you are doing here is, there was no such situation where 1 by 0 came or any number divided by 0 came. But still, if you want to raise a zero division error, then you can do this command, raise zero division error. Okay, what is this program? See, we are asking user to enter a name. If the length of the name is less than 2, if the user enters a, okay, his name is a, then it is an actually not a right thing, right? You will never see a person with one letter name as his name, okay, unless it is some unusual case, okay. So then what we are doing, we are raising an exception, zero division error, name too short. Then once you raise this exception, someone has to catch that exception. So here we are catching that exception as VE, and whatever message is there here, we are printing it here. So that zero division, no, name too short. We can do this and we can run it. Enter a name. Now if I enter A, it will tell name too short. Okay. If I run other name, it will just print thank you. Okay. This is how I will just share this code one by one. Now you guys can just run this and check from your side. Run this code, try to see this code, then I will also share the previous codes also. Next code, try this one also. So my assignment for this topic is, take any one of the complex code, whatever you feel you have done, and think of possible errors which are there and create a program with exceptions. Okay. So one more program I will share. You guys can try all these three. Okay. Just run this. Check if you don't understand something and let me know. Okay. Now let us go to our final topic. Okay. I think one topic I wanted to show. Wait. One second, I wanted to just see one particular. Okay, anyways, there's some function also called as heap. Okay, that is also important. Okay, so I want to share that right away. One is heap. Try to understand this inter tool. Okay, this heap is one, inter tool is one. Okay, so one simple program I'm just sharing. Try to see that application of this. Okay, heap. Okay, because these are like advanced thing which a guy must know if he is doing some work on Python. Okay, there were one more thing which was there, a function. Anyways, that I will check and tell if tomorrow we'll see that. Okay, now, so these are like all the important basic topics we have covered. Now the final topic, object oriented programming. So till now, we were just trying to run codes which were sequential. Now imagine there is a classroom. There are like 40-50 students, and we have to take the data of all the students. Now when there is an organization, the data will be common. There are like 50 students. There 50 common parameters will be there. Stu- Student is marks, his attendance, his other activities. So all these are like common to each student. Okay, so in that case, either you can have 15 to n different parameters, which will be 50n. So if the organization is big, if there are 1000 students, so 1000 into n parameters you should create. So to avoid that, we can create an object, and we can have only n parameters, and we can uh, create an object for 50. So it will be 50 plus n, that's it, or 100 plus n parameters which will be there. So instead of 100 into n, now it will be 100 plus n. So that is how object oriented programming will protect us. Okay, so number of variables will be very much restricted. So we have to just create 100 objects, then the n parameters will be still there. So the programming size will reduce significantly. How this works? What is class? Let us see with an example. This is how you can create a simple class. Okay, this is the first program. This is just a comment for this particular class. This is how you can write a small feedback about this code. Okay, about this class. Here, whatever is there inside this is now a class. Now what is this? This is how can you can create an object to this class. Okay, this is second object we are creating for this class. Now how to access this contents within the class? You can just use the object name, and whatever function is there inside this hello, what then if you do this, then it will print hi Sugandhi. Okay, now what is this self? We will see later. Okay, if you do here dot hello, it will help you to print a dot hello. B dot hello will run. Okay, let me run this. Hi Sugandhi, hi Sugandhi. Okay, two times, because two times we are calling hey dot hello. Okay, I'll just share this code. Let me reduce the space. Simple program, just so that you guys run that code. Next step. Now let us see what is this self and all. Okay. Now there is a class called school. This is a class name is school. Inside that school there are different things, right? Inside school there are so many students. So what are the common parameters? Student address, student age. We are checking very some basic parameters. Okay. Now I am starting to let us see what is the use of this self. We will see now. Okay. First of all, what is the definition of self? We'll see. Self is a reference to the class instance. Okay. So now here let us see. I have created an object called 10 standard, and in 10 standard the student's name is Ramesh. His address is here Marathalli, and his age is 15. Okay. And next one, there is one boy from 9th standard, and his name is Deepak, and his address is Arasikere, and age is 13. Okay. Similarly, there are different n number of students who are there. Now, if I have to access the detail back, okay, what I should do? I have to write 9 standard dot student name, 10 standard dot student name. If I want to use the get this address, I should do 9 standard dot student address, 9 standard dot student age. Like that, I have to type here. Okay. Now there are less number of parameters here which we can type. If the parameters were many, every time instead of writing that, what we can do here is we can have one time we will write it here. We'll write self dot student name, self dot student address, self dot student age. Okay. Then when a particular object, now this 10 standard dot student detail, when we call this, it will come here, and this self will understand that 10 standard, this particular object has called me. Then it will come here, and it will act as if it is 10 standard dot student name, 10 standard dot student address. Now when 9 standard will call, this will act like 9 standard dot student name, 9 standard dot student address. Like that it will do. So what is the definition now? Again we will see. Self is a reference to the class instance. So that is how this self will work. So it will act like a reference. Temporarily it will be 10 standard. Temporarily it will be 9 standard. How it will change itself? Whoever is calling it, it will become that. It is a flexible thing. Okay. I will share this code also. You guys can run it. Try to understand that also. Oh, it will not do everything, is it? Okay, let me mail it then. Just no, you can just put your email ID. I think I have not added you. If you are there, just share me your email ID. I'll add right away now. You can in the chat. You can just put your email ID. Yeah, because others are there, right? Only just no, I have not added you, right? Others, I think already you are there, right? Or you guys are not there in the email ID in this mail. Others are there, right? Only I think you are not there. Yes. Now I will have. Okay. Okay. So you guys can see this. Yes. So kindly run this program. Try to understand that. Uh, Next, I will go to the next program then. Okay. Next one is class 3. Okay. Wait, I think you guys can just run the program. Okay, so now same thing. We will continue our thing. So self, we will see few more example how to use self. Self is there in object-oriented programming permanently. Okay. Now, along with self, we should also understand something. Okay, if you have seen my the GUI, the GUI program, there was something called as init. Okay, now you will understand why that init was required. Okay, slowly we are seeing those topics. So init, what it will do? It is a initializing code. Okay, so what? Let us see the definition. Init is a special method which is called as class construction or initialization method that Python calls when you create a new instance of this class. Okay, so whenever a new instance of the class is created, init is going to get executed. Okay, here there are two instances. Okay, ABC and U, and we are not calling any of this method. But if I run this two times, it is printing high, which is what is high? This is that high. So whenever you create a class instance, okay, this init is going to get executed. All other functions which are there, we have to separately call it. Only then it will get executed. But init, what it will do? It will execute when you create an object. Okay. 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 So now the next program is an example to understand how init can be used. What is the application of init? Okay. 1 second. I'm just uh, I'll be back in 10 seconds. Okay. Now what is this init and how it is used? Okay. So now here, what is this class name? Class name is called employee. Okay. Employee is the class name. Now once employee is there, we create an object. Okay. Now here, when we are creating this object, along with that, we are sending some parameters. Zara and 20,000, 20 lakh or something. Okay. So that will come to this Zara. This is that Zara salary. This is that salary. Now we are saving it in self dot name. What do you mean by self dot name? So it will be employee one dot name. Employee one's name is Zara. Employee one's salary is 20 lakh. And what is this? Why we are not using self dot employee count? Self dot employee count, if I do, every time the count of the employee will remain 1. So to have a global tracker, okay, I want to know how many employees have joined my company. So this is the class name, and then I keep an object. Then for the second employee, this count will become 2. Third employee count will become 3. If I do this as self dot employee, then employee count, then every time the count will remain 1. Okay. Now for the first employee, the details were finished. Then employee 2 will come. Moment an object is created, what will happen? Init is going to get executed. So the second employee is money and his salary is 50 crores. Okay, money. So that name is money. So employee 2 name money. Employee 2 salary 50 crores. Employee dot employee count. Since already employee 1 was there, now the count will become 2. Okay. So this is not required, or like that we can write all the details of all the employees. Then now if you want to, so application of init is over. So init, what you can do, if you don't want to separately call, and if you want to save the information, so you know that whenever employee is added, you have to automatically save it. So these 3 lines here, these 4 lines here will help you to save the details of the employees. So now all these employees are saved. Okay, it will be saved in these variables and in those particular objects. Now if you want to get the details back, okay, what was the salary of employee 1? If I want to do, what I can do is name, okay, display employee details, okay, get. So if you just pass display employee, and if you pass that name, okay, Sham, or object name employee 1, if you pass that, then it will understand that sorry, you need not pass it here. Here we are already passing employee 1. If you just pass, it will come here and it will display the details. Okay, I will share this code also, just go through it once. Okay, after the class also you can take your time and go through it in slowly. Okay, now here class employee, common base class for all employees, employee count equal to 0. So this is not important, this program is not important. Let us go to next one. Okay, so now a simple important topic called inheritance in object oriented only. So here there are 2 classes. Okay, one class is parent, second class is, so mother class and father class. Okay, basically this is what is there inside. This is not important. We have to just see that there is a mother, which is parent, there is a dad. Okay, actually this has to be mother. Okay, father and mother. Okay, this is their child. Okay, now child, generally a child is having characteristic of parent, mother and father. Okay, so now this child has inherited the properties of his mother and his property of his father. Now whatever is there here also doesn't matter. Okay, when you create an object C, object C for child, okay, this is the child class, we are creating this object. This object will have access to his own function, his father's function and his mother's function. Okay, both the functions it is having access. For example, C dot parent method 1. So parent method 1 is that method, this method. Okay, this is that method which is present. Okay, so when a child is inheriting, so this is the way we can inherit things. Okay, if there are 2 classes, you can inherit the contents from one class. Okay, so just to show you an example. Okay, here this class main one has inherited property from this one. Okay, so this is how we are inheriting. Okay, so now what, once you inherit, this particular class can access, the object of this class can access the contents. Okay, that is how we are inheriting. So this is called inheritance. I will also share this code. Go through these codes. Okay, now you have to try to link what we have done in that GUI. Okay, slowly you can see all the concepts which are coming up there. Okay, okay, now one more simple topic, operator overriding. Okay, sorry, not operator, function overriding. So here, or method overriding. So this is one method and this is same method. The methods are having same name. Okay, there are two classes and one class has inherited the other class. Now the methods are same, and if you try to create an object, and if you try to call this method, which method is will get, which method will get called, method 1 or method 2? It will be the child class. Okay, if a child has called it, it will give importance to his method. Now if you do p is equal to parent, and if you do p dot my method, then parent class will get executed. Okay, so this is called as overriding methods. Okay. Okay, now we can also save object as private. Okay, so this name you can give anything xyz, any name you can give xyz. Now when I create an object, I am doing calling alex and aman. So moment object is created, init will get executed. So when you come here, you will do the same thing. Alex is the name, alias we are putting it under underscore. Okay, two underscores we are using. That two underscore, when you use, it will, that particular method will, that particular variable now will become private variable. You cannot access it always. Okay, it can be a secret question. Okay, for example, when you create uh, 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 when you fill up some Gmail account or something, it will ask for a secret question to retrieve your password. So this can be used there. Okay, first time when you are executing, you are doing that. Second time, next time, when in the future, whenever you want to retrieve or your account, you will be asked to enter the secret question. Okay, nowadays we have that mobile OTP which will be there. Okay, but still this can be that application where it can be used. Okay, now when you do this, this is a private thing. Now if you want to access it, what was the normal way? X dot name, if you do, it will print alex. But if you do x dot alias, which was our second object, okay, x dot name, x dot alias, if you try to do, it will show an error. If you want to see this, you have to use this way. Okay, this is the way. If you want to access aman, if you want to access aman, you have to do all these things. Okay, this is how you can create a private variable. This variable what we have created is called private. You have create, why it is called private, you have created this additional control over that, so that user, if he wants to use it, he should know all those things, and then he has to access it. Okay, I will share this code. Okay, next one. Okay, I think this is operator overriding. This is not important, but I will share this code. I'll just tell you the gist of it. Okay, so here I am calling a function. Okay, so I'm creating an object. Moment I create this object, this init is there. Okay, it will get executed. Okay, then I am trying to add the object v1 and object v2. This when objects are added, then there is something called as operator overriding. Then this particular operator, plus operator, is nothing but add. Okay, you cannot write this as addition also. Okay, addition you cannot do that. It should be add. And when you do that, and if it sees a plus sign, it will come and execute this. If it was a minus, it will execute this. Okay, this is called as operator overriding. Right now we will not see how this program will work, but you guys can try to see this code and understand it. Okay, because it will take time. So we'll share this code, try to understand how it works. So you might have to understand what is this underscore underscore str. Those things you have to take this as an assignment. Okay, and try to understand this code. Okay, so this is fine. I think this is it for. Okay, I think this is not it. So now there are few other things, okay, which you can do as an application. Okay, so few things I wanted to tell you. One is there is some concept of threading. Okay, you can see nowadays we have multiple cores in our system. Okay, and but our codes are sequential. If say imagine there is a 1 lakh code, length of a code is 1 lakh, and we are trying to run it, then what it will do, it will run sequentially. First line 1, then 2, 3, at the end line number 1 lakh. Now if you go by, if you have four cores in your system, only one core will be working on that. Okay, so remaining three cores will be sitting idle. So although there are three people who can do that work, we are asking one person to do all the work, so the time taken by the system will be high. So what we can do, we have to ensure that all the four cores are getting equal work. So can you divide that 1 lakh code into 25,000 each, and can you reduce the time by 4 times? If you can do that, then that particular coding will be suitable to your PC. Okay, so that kind of architecture has to be developed. So that is the concept of threading. Okay, I will share one code. So again, you have to try to see the threading. So the again, this package is inbuilt. Okay, you don't have to install it. This is a simple code which will help you in understanding the first step. Okay, towards threading. Okay, I'll be mailing you this. Okay. Other than that, there are some other simple packages. So wait. Okay, exception handling. Let's see if there is. This is okay, not required. So these are some of the basic libraries you should know. Okay, import OS, you should understand what is import globe. We have seen one application, import system. Import RE is important. Import shuttle is also important. Okay, this is one thing where you can access URLB. Okay, URLB is an package. What it will do, it will help you to access websites from Python. Okay, for example, you want to go to one particular website and, for example, shares. Okay, if you want to go to a website and want to see what is the current value of one particular shares, then what you can do, you have to just give that path, complete path, and you whatever that URL link is there. Now, if you give it here, then if you try to read it, you can read the content. So you can automate your code instead of you going there searching manually and seeing what you can write a code for every 10 minutes. I am going to run this loop and it is going to go there and it is going to fetch the information I want. Then you can take even a decision based on that. Okay, you, if you are working doing some work and you don't want to spend your time doing that, then you can write your own code and you can do all those things. Okay, this is called URLB. Okay, I think that's it. Now I'll just show you one simple exception, class exception. Okay, one last program we'll see and stop. Tomorrow we'll start with data science. Okay. Yes. So this is how you can create exceptions in using your own exceptions. Okay, this is like similar to assert, but not exactly assert. Okay, in exception handling. So here, what I'm doing, I'm creating two new exceptions. Okay, it's just like there were so many exceptions, right? Arithmetic error, logical error, zero division error, type error. Similar to that, I'm adding value too small error and value too large error. These are new exceptions which have been added by me. Okay. Now Python is going to see these as the new exceptions. Okay. And whenever they are going to get encountered, we have to just use this raise keyword and it can be generated. Okay. So we have to add this new keyword called raise, and when now since we have added this as value to small error, it will get raised here and it will print that. Okay, and whenever you raise value to large error, it will come here and it will print this. Okay, and this is how it will work. So I will share this code to you guys, can run this and try to understand it. Okay. Okay, tomorrow onwards we will go in a very very low pace. The speed will be normal. I will not be sharing everything and finishing the course. So we will see each and every command, and I will give you time to run the program also. But if anyone, so if you have to really follow data science, important thing is packages. Okay, structure of a package you should know, and other than that, other all other concepts are not much very much dependent on Python. But Python is so important as far as your job is concerned. Interviews, if you have to attend, Python is one of the programming skill you should know. Okay, so go through the lectures, or else there are like enough materials already there. Okay, you guys can take it. Okay, I will stop now.